Your president is watching. America is watching. But more important, Godfather is watching. Make no mistake, there will be no fuck-ups. Marines around this world would give they left nuts to be where you are. Anybody not want to go? Marines, kill on 3. 1, 2, 3. Kill!
Born to those who pledged their lives in sacred honor, was smiled upon by God and freed from chains and iron collar. He is held aloft on unity and by history revered. For preserving peace through strength, his wings now reach across 200 years. But for each of those in 1 year more, God has smiled upon the core. From the Barbary coast to the eastern sand, by sword, by gun, or by bare hand. So it's been and shall be weighed. Though many are born, few are made. Faithful always they shall remain. Dogs to loose when war is waged. With a need to bleed you when the light goes green. Best believe I'm in the zone to be. From a yin to my yang to my yang to see. Put a grin on my chin. Come to me cause I'll win. I'm one of a kind and I'll bring death to the place you're about to be. Another river of blood running under my feet. Forged in the fire that long ago. Stand next to me, you'll never stand alone. Last to leave, but the first to go. Hardcore is the only way I know. I'm free on the fear of the devil inside of the enemy faces in my sight. Aim with a hand, shoot with a mind, kill with a heart like Arctic ice. I am a devil dog, I'm marching on. I am a devil dog, I'm marching on. I am a warrior and this is my song. I am a warrior and this is my song. I'm back in the glow of the rising war. Lay waste to the ground of an enemy shore. Wade through the blood spilled on the floor. And if another one's dead, I'll kill some more. Bullet in the breach and a fire in me. Like a cigarette thrown in gasoline. If death don't bring you fear, then death ain't brought by no marine. Come to the nightmare, come to me. Deep down in the dark where the devil lives. In the wall with the jaws and the razor teeth. Where the brimstone burns and the angel industrial enjoy life. I am a devil dog, I'm marching on. I am a warrior and this is my song. Hell has no demon I won't overcome. Never forget that. I am a warrior and this is my song. I'll make the devil himself turn and run. I am a warrior and this is my song. Into the fire I will keep marching on. Hoorah! Marine Corps, get some!
Take me to the brig so I can see the real Marines.
Good night, Chesty, wherever you are.
Holy smoke pizza in the chat room. Welcome to Cold War Radio, ladies and gentlemen, live from studio number 1 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm your host, Hutch Bailey Jr. Deep down in the broadcast bunker, please follow me on Spreaker, like the Facebook page, facebook.com/Cold War Radio 22. The email, scrtv@live.com. The Cold War Radio patron hotline is 412-206-6208. If you'd like to be part of the program, if you want to send a voicemail, you're listening via podcast, 412-567-1460. You can catch the podcast just about anywhere. You can catch it in the morning. It streams at the 405media.com. You get it on demand at iHeartRadio, the Cold War Radio app, free in your app store, YouTube, fully transcribed. That means it has captions, ladies and gentlemen. Please use the hashtag CWR. We're trying to transition, make it a little easier. So use the hashtag CWR and get connected with other listeners. Please go to steelcityresistance.com and become a Cold War Radio patron in the right-hand margin over there. You can also donate one time toward our CPAC expeditionary mission. And you can catch the research room, the video page. If you'd like to write to the program, write to Cold War Radio, P.O. Box 104 33370, Castle Shannon Boulevard, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15234. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is all quiet on the Western Front. Let's traverse the turret to the east and give some bounding overwatch to Ward Miller. Hello, Ward.
Hey, Hutch, how you doing? And I want to give a big shout out to all of our bacon-loving deplorables out there. You know who you are.
You make the world go round. We had recently...
At least our world.
You got it. We had some really good interviews on Friday night. Mona went to the Values Voters Summit. She ran into a little problem on Saturday, and she's kind of ticked off. And you don't want to miss Friday's show because she's going to come on and tell you why on Friday. Apparently, it seems like maybe the conservative people that were elevated by people like us might be getting a little bit too good for us. But we'll find out on Friday night for sure. That's if you want to listen to any of the interviews, there's 6 of them. They're good on Friday night's podcast. You can check them out there. But we don't have any more for you. That's it. We going to talk about it on Friday. Values Voter Summit. It's a relatively smaller event, ladies and gentlemen. I think when we went, there might have been 3 or 4 other people on Radio Row when I went with Wayne Dupree. But apparently there were only 2 this time. And I'll just wait and let Mona talk about it because she's pretty ticked off right now. It's probably a good thing she's not on tonight. But that's just Mona.
Hey, give her some cool-off time.
Yeah. So there's that, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the interviews. We certainly did on Friday night. They were great, man. She did a great job. And that's not...
rocks, man.
I know. Wait till we get to CPAC. I mean, because that's a new media friendly area there. I mean, that's the new media and the legacy media intertwine on Media Row there, and they're both sides, and it's long and it's big, so that'll be a lot different than the Values Voters Summit. But anyway, she got some good ones on Friday, no question about that. Now I'm watching the news, Ward, and really, man, we're reaching a line here. I've been, and you have too. We've been bitching about the media for years, especially for me, especially during the Trayvon Martin deal. That was to me, if we had an FCC that was worth a damn, networks would have came down over that one. They would have got fined so hard for trying to start a race war that wasn't there. But now, with this thing with Syria, ABC comes out, sees a weak point, and plays a video, Ward, claiming that it is the, and I don't know if you saw this video. I did.
Oh, yeah, I did. In fact, I think I sent it to you on Twitter.
Okay, yeah. Yep, you probably did. That is probably where I saw it. But if you've ever been, I've never been in a firefight myself, I'll be honest. I got shot at with mortars or rockets, but I've never been in a two-sided firefight. But I've seen a lot of classified film of two-sided firefights. And I've also been on several live fire ranges. And anybody who looks at that video can tell that's a live fire range. There's just too many guns pointing in the same direction. They're using what's called limiting stakes. It's an old military formation. It's a horseshoe formation, and everybody has two stakes in front of their fighting position, and they can only move their rifle about 15 inches to either side. That's their sector. And all of the sectors line up, and it's called interlocking fields of fire. You can't walk through it. It's impossible because all the tracers, because you do it at night. They teach you about it at night so you can see the tracers. And it's a crisscross, like you saw in the video, some of it. And that was, I'm not saying staged, that was a training event. And for them to do that, to think this
but it wasn't Syria.
No, it was Fort Knox, or I don't know where it was. I think it was Fort Knox, Kentucky, either Fort Campbell or Fort Knox.
No, I thought they said it was somewhere in it was in Kentucky, Kentucky gun range.
Yeah, and that used
but
to be.
But they've apologized for it because it's so easy to mistake Kentucky for Syria. They look so much alike, especially this time of year.
and also, there's no alcohol in either place. It's a dry county in Kentucky, but not that I haven't been there, but I was. But we've passed a line. I think we've crossed a line into criminality, man. This is people's lives, and these companies. That's what they are. Forget them being news media. They're companies. ABC's owned by Disney, I think, and
yes,
these companies are deliberately lying to the American people to try to get a political outcome. It's got to stop, Ward. We have to figure out a way to preserve the First Amendment, but eliminate these propagandists. They're not news people. This is, I watch these people talk, and we've got some clips tonight I'm going to play for you. And they are basically saying, no, deplorables are stupid. We're just going to keep saying this because it's what we want them to believe, even though we know it's not true, and nobody watching knows it's true, thinks it's true. It's absolutely out of control at this point. Your thoughts?
Well, no, it's beyond out of control. When, and I don't want to, drop too much too early, but some of the stuff that came out of the CNN thing with Project Veritas is just, to say bombshell is to say it lightly. They got Zucker saying point blank, just push impeachment. We don't care, push impeachment.
It's unreal.
And
he hates his guts.
And that's the thing. As a news person, he shouldn't. And I don't see how they should still be getting, freedom of the press rights when they're clearly not the press, of the people meant to keep the government in check, which was the reason for the freedom of the press, was to keep the government in check. And the press now has just, conspired with the government to the point where the mainstream media is just another branch of the Dems. Hey Hutch, what should they call them? Now like prostitutes, the enemy of the people.
That's a good one.
Propaganda
Prostitutes,
press.
Well, I'll tell you, it's out of control, and and the reason I keep saying FCC is because I've been an amateur radio operator. I'm not very active in the last 10 years, but I've been an amateur radio operator for 30 years. An extra class, a top highest class you can get, and the FCC has all kinds of rules, and they enforce them other places. Why they don't enforce them on these criminals is beyond me. We need to do something, either by a federal agency or by legislation. This has to get fixed. If we don't fix this, we might as well forget about it, because sooner or later people are getting lazier and lazier. And if the Values Voters Summit is tough on new media, then what do you think everything else is going to be? I mean, we can only pull this so far. We need some legal assistance, in my opinion. And I know that borders on not being conservative, but I got to tell you, what's the point of having free speech if you don't? Because we don't.
No, you're absolutely. Well, the problem is that they got loopholes, because you got the loophole with, like Twitter or Facebook or whatever. They can say, this is our platform, these are our rules. We don't have anything in here about the First Amendment. Suck it up or be gone. I mean, and that's really the attitude that they've taken. They were banning, in fact, what was his name?
Carp Donktoon?
Yeah, I can't remember his name now. Carpe Donktum or something to that effect. He got banned.
I mispronounced it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Donktum.
Something like
anyway.
Carpe Donktum.
Yeah, well, he's apparently a big guy on Twitter, and he got banned today for retweeting the Project Veritas video.
It's unreal. He had problems. O'Keefe had problems uploading it with YouTube, and you guys can keep on doing it, but we're going to win in the end. In the end, we're going to win. People that never believed it before are starting to see this. But when you run a video clip knowing it's wrong, shouldn't somebody feel some pain for that, man? I mean, it's like a banana republic if we don't. Sometimes I wonder, is Bob Barr really, or Bill Barr, whatever his damn name is he really a real person? Where is he? What's he doing?
Well, in his defense, the IG report comes out this Friday. Everything I'm reading saying it's going to drop Friday, and it's thick as a phone book, and it's gonna I think that's why you see Clapper throwing Obama under the bus, because he knows that this is going to just blow the lid off everything. And if you look, all of them are they're squirming.
Even Biden. I don't know if you caught it, but even Biden was like, I was just carrying out the president's policies.
Exactly.
Obama might go down in this, but I'm not. We've been down this road together, Ward, many times, and
yes,
I'm not going down this road yet. I want to see it first this time. I've been let down too many times, and I've also heard reports that I heard a couple that were Friday, maybe Monday or Tuesday. So even that's starting to wobble a little bit, but I hope it does. I mean, I don't see any way to restore the republic if we don't have law enforcement, have
they got a clean house, man.
Consequences.
There's no two ways about that. There's no two ways about that. There has to be a reckoning, and it has to be on a large scale. It can't just be, oh well, we're going to punish this one little piece of the FBI and take away their subpoena rights or some nonsense.
It's got to be big, man. It's got to be big to the point where I keep remembering, and I can't stand Oliver Stone, but I keep remembering the movie JFK. And I keep remembering there was a piece in there where the guy was telling them that JFK, and this is a proven fact anyway, he was getting ready to dismantle the CIA or severely weaken it. And I hear all these reports about CIA now, and I remember the media's clamoring about how fake that JFK movie was. And I get to thinking, man, it's like...
Yeah, maybe they protest too much.
Yeah, maybe it's time for them to go. But you can't do that. Wow. I mean, it's amazing. Thank God for President Trump for unearthing this. I mean, I don't know if we're ever going to come out of it or not, but wow.
I was watching Steven Crowder, and I don't know if you follow him or anything.
A true patriot. Yes, I do.
He's awesome. But he made a point the other day that I thought was pretty much picture perfect. And he said, is Trump the best president ever? Probably not. But he's the best president for this time. If it wasn't for the fact that President Trump was in the White House, none of this would be brought up. If Trump doesn't win, if Hillary wins, you don't hear about the all the backroom deals that have been made by Hillary and et cetera. I'm not even going to get into all the names because the show's only 2 hours long.
Think of all the countries. Think of all the countries. Okay, so we highlighted in the last couple of weeks 2 of them, China and Ukraine. Think of all the rest of the countries. What did the Obama administration do with other countries?
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't the only 2 they visited.
Well, and there was another thing that came out today where apparently the Obama administration was leveraging the Ukrainians to monitor certain Americans, and not only Americans or American
bloggers.
But they were also getting news people, journalists,
right?
And Gorkin was one of them, and what's his name? Probisic.
Yeah,
Jack Probisic. Is that how you pronounce the name?
I don't know. Prosebic, I think.
Okay,
but him, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he was one of them.
Dan Bongino. I mean, that's why I said bloggers.
I think that's why they kind of. Well, it wasn't just bloggers though.
No, it wasn't.
The one I'd seen later was like, and it's hard. It's tough to say, actual journalists, but
Well, my point was how far down they went. I mean, Dan Bongino is kind of one of the guys I was talking about. I knew Dan Bongino when nobody knew him. But now he's like a big time guy.
Now you don't return your calls.
Right. That's the guy. So, but anyway, I was amazed by how far down they went. Not that these people aren't influential, but they're listening to us, is my point.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we weren't on the list.
No, we were close. So if they'd had a couple more, then we'd have been on there. But
yeah. They just didn't have enough Russian agents to get all of us.
That's it, man. I mean, 140 characters or whatever it is now, they were out of time. But I'm starting to see a little bit of a trend here. Not in the Senate. The Senate is still a group of pussies. But on the Republican side, I mean, I don't trust them at all. Not Ted Cruz, not any of them. But there's in the House, they're starting to stand up a little bit. You're starting to see some people come out that you maybe haven't seen in the past that are starting to stand up for this president. And boy, is that refreshing. Let's listen to Representative Byrne talking about Joe Biden.
No one has indicated of any consequence that anything was done wrong or illegally by me or by my son. And there's not a single shred of evidence to suggest anything I did was wrong. I enforced the policy of the United States government I never, ever, 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 ever had a conversation with my son about anything that I was doing.
The only problem but the only problem was, did you ever talk to him about what he was doing? The Bidens fighting back against scrutiny over their foreign ties. The former vice president speaking out as his son announces he was resigning from the Chinese firm he was invested in. But in a Fox News exclusive, our next guest says it's time to get the facts, and tomorrow he'll call for a formal investigation into the Bidens dealing overseas. Joining us now is Alabama Congressman Bradley Byrne, who made it clear you want to run against for Doug Jones' seat that he has right now that's up for election next year. So what really got you about this story, and what action are you taking?
Well, I found out earlier this year about Hunter Biden's dealings with China after he went on an official visit to China with his father while his father was vice president. Then we find out about this Ukrainian thing. I'm not asking for a foreign government to investigate him. I want the United States Congress to investigate him. If the name on here was not Hunter Biden, if it were Donald Trump Jr., these investigations would have already started. I want the United States Congress to get to the bottom of this. Hunter Biden do? What did Vice President Biden do? What did all of them know? What connection was there between Vice President Biden's position and these business dealings that his son got? I think the American people deserve to know that.
And what is in your hand?
This is a resolution. I'll file it tomorrow in the House of Representatives. It would call on 3 different committees in the House to investigate all of this. Do whatever it takes to get to the bottom of what happened. I want the facts.
Now, Congressman, you're in the minority. Will they do this?
Well, I don't know, but they'd be hypocritical if they didn't. As I said, if this were Donald Trump Jr.'s name in here instead of Hunter Biden's, we'd have already been in this investigation. There are real serious concerns here. The American people deserve to know the facts. All I want are the facts. If the facts show that Hunter Biden and his father didn't do anything wrong, okay. But we don't know that because we haven't investigated.
I thought a very interesting editorial last week that said, the fact is that Hunter Biden may not have done anything wrong, and that's the problem. Because if the vice president's in charge, let's say in this case of the Ukraine situation, and his son at 37 is able to sit on a board that he doesn't have anything on his resume that would reveal he'd be any one of an asset of this. The fact is, if there was nothing underhanded happening, the appearance is wrong.
Absolutely. And we should all be concerned about things like that. But once again, I just want to know the facts. We seem to investigate everything else that has to do with President Trump. I want to investigate this with regard to Hunter Biden.
And what's the president's reaction when you told him you want to run for Senate?
I think that he would like to see us take back this Senate seat and get a Republican in there who will be loyal to the party, and he'll vote with the president as I do in the House of Representatives 97% of the time.
All right, Congressman Bradley Byrne taking action on Hunter Biden's background, just wants to see if he can get some answers. Thanks so much, Congressman.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
You know, a congressman, and I've got a clip of him a little later on, goes on to say, I don't want China to investigate this. I don't want Ukraine to investigate this. I want the frickin' United States to investigate this. I mean, to say that you can't investigate him because he's running for president, I say we must investigate him because he's running for president.
Yeah, I mean, they want to say that Trump pointed that out because he was a political opponent. And, you know, and Biden thinks for some insane reason that Trump's afraid of him. And that's why Trump keeps doing this. And it's like, Joe, you do realize that Trump will destroy you. I mean, it will be so – I mean, the debates will be so ugly that you'll have that bloody eye looking thing in both eyes.
Yeah, he will.
You'll be having all kinds of strokes.
Let's go to King George. What's up, Ken?
Man, you know, these politicians are all like, well, Congress needs to – have an investigation. Well, what the hell have they been doing for the last 3 years? Investigating everything under the sun, and they can't come up with anything. So what makes you think they're going to come up with something if they investigate Hunter Biden?
Oh, they're not going to. They're not going to investigate him. No, they're not going to investigate him. And the Republicans,
a bunch of BS.
The Republicans don't know how to spell subpoena. They don't know how to spell fight. They don't know how to spell loyalty. They're so inept and incompetent. I was just happy to see a couple of them yapping. Not that I don't want to see any more. I don't ever want to see Lindsey Graham's face again, ever. I don't want to see him. I hope somebody primaries him. He's a freaking warmonger. He started this damn war. Him and McCain and Hillary Clinton, Ward and I chronicled this stuff from day one. You know, that this was something that they made up. They invented it, and they tried to keep it going. It all started with Obama's speech in Cairo. It went downhill from there. You know, when they empowered the Muslim Brotherhood and tried to wipe out every secular government in the Middle East, and they almost did. You know, but okay, sorry. Go ahead, man. I get a little emotional.
You're on a roll, brother. You know, but yeah, and of all the places that they just despise the most, the only Democratic, you know, representative place in the entire Middle East is Israel, but they're the enemy to these people. And it's just like,
it's unbelievable.
these people are a bunch of freaking hypocrites.
Stick around for a second, Ken. Ward, I'm so glad. You know, one of the things about doing this is episode 789, and you and I did 100 and some episodes of Steel City Resistance before that. So there's no way that I can say something. You know, I can't change my mind in the middle of the program. You know, of something that I, you know, stood for previously. But I can honestly say I was against this Syria thing from the first minute I heard of it. From the first minute me and you both, we both said there's nothing good in Syria.
Yeah, going into Syria bought us absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
And staying in Syria wouldn't do us anything but buy us more and more heartbreak.
And actually, after Obama and the Democrats capitulated in Iraq, I didn't want anything else to do in the Middle East whatsoever, because we saw what happens. We go in there, we kick ass, take names, take casualties, and then the Democrats give it back. It's what happened in Vietnam, and it's what happened in Iraq. And it's going to be, I don't know if the Democrats are going to give it back, but I'd pull the stakes on every tent in Afghanistan and pull everybody back tomorrow morning if I was in charge. You know, we wouldn't stay there another day. Why? What's the point?
It buys us nothing.
Nothing.
Except, you know, we lose soldiers. You know, we lose American lives protecting that crap hole country. And, you know, it's like it's not buying us anything.
And look at all the Republicans.
Global stability. What global stability did Afghanistan have before we bombed them back into the Stone Age? They had nothing except poppy. That's the only export import
and they can make
heroin.
guns. They can make guns too. I don't think they're selling them, but they can make them. Let's listen to Rand Paul on The View, and then Ken, I'm going to get your thoughts on the other side.
Didn't it keep Turkey from invading?
No, I'm not.
That
No.
gave
You tell
Turkey
their parents.
the green light.
You tell their
Isn't
parents
that
why
true?
they're there.
If you have allies and they are working with you and fighting with you, and 24 hours somebody wakes up and says, "Oh, we're out."
Right.
Is that the right way to do this?
I think the way we look at war is we don't look at
No. Is that the right way to do it?
The question.
Okay.
When we decide whether or not we're sending our young people into harm's way, we should obey the Constitution, which says we should declare war and put them in a war theater. But let me finish.
Okay.
And here's the thing about it, is if you ask these people, Lindsey Graham and the Cheney war and all these warmongers that want to stay at war forever, who are we going to declare war on? They don't know who. We're going to declare war on Turkey, our ally,
Should we
the
ever
Free Syrian
walk
Army,
out
our ally?
in the middle? It's like walking out.
We should never be there in the first place.
That's not the question.
The left agreed with me for so many years. For so many years, the left agreed with me.
I am neither left nor right. I'm just American. I want to know, should we be should we be walking out on
But here's the thing:
How the hell did lightning
left
not
and right
strike?
have agreed in the past that regime change doesn't work. When we got rid of Hussein, we got chaos and more terrorism. When we got rid of Gaddafi, chaos and more terrorism.
But Senator,
it's
we're
incredibly
here now, though.
expensive as well.
But we're here.
We're not really here. We got 50 people. We're not
here.
doing
Yeah,
anything.
but we're frankly, 50 people
hold on,
is very
hold on.
symbolic.
Hold on.
And that is why
and
it
you
kept
tell their parents
Turkey
that.
from invading.
You tell their parents
Isn't that true?
You tell the parents of those 50 kids how great the symbolism was when a suicide bomber blows blows up all 50
But
kids.
didn't it
You
keep
tell them
Turkey
why-
from
no,
invading?
No,
And
I'm not.
pulling them
No, no.
gave
You tell
Turkey
their
the
parents.
green light.
You tell their
Isn't
parents
that
why
true?
they're there.
But
You
isn't
tell-
that true?
You tell their parents why
Isn't
they're
it
there.
true that Turkey
You
said
tell
they're not
them-
How do you feel about
we have
how do you feel about the video that we're seeing of the
find-
Kurds getting slaughtered?
I find the position of pulling out of these wars, that's a popular one, and I am there. There's a difference in having a strategy and leaving the Kurds there to die, which is where they are now. They are left there to die, and that is now, here's what I'd argue. Now the GOP's problem.
That's simply wrong.
ISIS fighters, as being reported, thousands are going to escape from these prisons because the Kurds can't protect
Well, no, that
themselves.
is
Up
that
to
is
70,000, according to a NATO official.
What's the people who don't like the
Is that a
policy?
safer world with
That's the
ISIS
people,
running around?
That's the people who want to stay forever. These are the same people.
I don't want to stay forever,
let me
but it's
finish
their
answering the
strategy.
question, okay? I let you talk. You let me talk. These are the same people. These are the same people that would still have us in Vietnam. These are the same people who always say, "Stay at war, stay at war, stay at war." It has not helped us.
Now, Ward, I can remember times when we ridiculed this guy, and I don't regret a bit of that. But I've evolved, man. I'm 100% with the guy on this.
Rand Paul always had glimmers of I could get behind. You know what I mean?
I do.
I mean, not a whole lot. I mean,
until he
wouldn't-
went against the president on the national emergency at the border. That pissed me off.
Yeah,
that was
well, I mean,
unacceptable. But anyway,
yeah, and I kind of expect that from him because anything spending money, Rand Paul, he acts like it's his money. So, whatever. I mean, that's cool. But he's absolutely right. We don't need to be we don't need to be in Syria. Those 50 troops that were there, or whatever the number wasn't going to hold back the Turkish army.
no.
I honestly believe Turkey said, "Look, we're coming."
And let me tell you, let me give you the
Pull your
analysis.
guys out, or we're going to overrun them.
And not only that, but here's the thing. Here to me is the most important thing. And maybe I'm wrong. It's possible. Unlikely, but possible. I think what the president did, we had these troops up there, and they were the best of the best. These are special operators. And they're out there, and because they were there, just like because the 2nd Infantry Division was in Korea, the 2nd Infantry Division could not beat the Korean Army, North Korean Army, the NKPA. But if they killed anybody in the 2nd Division, that was a trigger, and we all knew that. You know, there were, at different bases, there were different life expectancies if the balloon went up. I think ours was 17 seconds where I was. But I think that what's going on is I think the president decoupled us from Turkey because Turkey was not going to relent. They were relentless. They were going to go into northern Syria to go after the Kurds. And once we realized that, then the president started making negotiations because we've got a pen full of ISIS fighters, or we did, and none of the cowards in Europe would take their people back. Screw Europe, man. Screw the EU. I'm telling you, man, we ought to get out of NATO. We ought to have nothing to do with it. But that being said, I think he decoupled us from them because of our NATO tie with Turkey, because what's happening right now? What's happening right now? Syrian forces are heading to the border, and they're going to fight full on with the Turkish army. And the Russians are backing the Syrians. And Turkey is asking for NATO help. Screw you, Erdogan. You're on your own. I think that's what's going on. Ken, your thoughts? And then Ward.
Well, you know, I mean, this is the same thing that happened in Vietnam. I mean, these proxy wars were, you know, it wasn't the Russians or the Soviet Union backing, you know, the northern Vietnamese back in the day. I mean, this is another way to, you know, for all these warmongers like Lindsey Graham, hey, let's test our stuff out, make sure it actually works. And they're in the pockets, I'm sure, of all these big, you know, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, all that. You know.
What is he? What is he? He's an Army lawyer. Army or Air Force, one of them. You know, that's unbelievable, man.
I mean, I'm all about a strong defense force. Don't get me wrong there, but to just send people overseas just to prove a point is kind of.
It's dumb. It's not. If you look at what the president's done, and if you followed this show for any amount of time, and I know you have, you know that one of the biggest changes in foreign policy, Ward, is that the president has elevated economic leaders into field marshal, wartime cabinet positions. You've got Mnuchin, Lighthizer, the other guy, I can't remember his name right now. Anyway, you've got these guys out there fighting the war for him, and he's going to do this with sanctions. Our money is so much more powerful than our battleships.
Absolutely, especially Turkey. I mean, the problem is you have two allies that are going to fight, right? And it's like you're at a bar, and two of your buddies are getting ready to go.
Right.
What are you going to do? You're either going to jump in the middle of it and piss one or both of them off, or you're going to step back, let them have at it. That's on them.
It is,
and that was the right thing to do in Syria. There was nothing for us to gain, and lives of our soldiers to lose.
I'll tell you, I wish I had.
The only possible outcome would have been losing soldiers, and I applaud President Trump for pulling us out when he did. And it wasn't a huge force. I mean, the way the media makes it sound is we had brigades down there.
Well, you heard the lady. We left them there to die. We left them there. Don't shut up.
That was Hillary Clinton, and the place was called Benghazi. That's where the people were left to die.
That's one of the reasons this started. Hey, Ken, thanks for calling, brother. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, let's go over to Missouri. Let's get Ralph's take on the whole situation. What's going on, Ralph?
Well, I wanted to bounce off the numbers angle of this to put it in context of what you guys have been talking about. All right, let's just say the spread of numbers of troops, U.S. present, anywhere from 50 to 1,500.
Right, I heard 1,000. I heard 1,000 got moved out today after
I heard 1,000 too.
Intensified.
But let's just say 50 to 1,500.
That works.
Okay. Those guys, special operators and all that stuff, the reason why Erdogan did not come in was because there was American air power overhead that would neutralize anything. He didn't want to butt heads with the U.S. because then you'd have two NATO allies fighting one another. So then when Trump said, okay, we're out of here, what did the Turks do but come on in? And then they knew where our guys were positioned GPS-wise and all that because they were given the information, telling them don't shoot at our people. So the artillery guys start lobbing rounds somewhere nearby and all that, and then our guys start going, hey, what the hell? So they moved to keep from getting hit.
Right.
Then Turkey moved further inland. They tried to establish whatever this 200-mile buffer zone. They were going to have it one way or the other. Now, here comes the Kurds making a deal with the Syrian army, and they decided to come in there and help their brethren out to go fight for their country at their border and keep Turkey from progressing. Meanwhile, Netanyahu in Israel here a couple of days ago said that he was willing to give the Kurds not military support, but supplies, medical stuff, that sort of thing, as it all went on. Now that Syria and the Kurds are fighting together, and they've been fighting this thing for over 200 years, according to the SecDef this past week, and that now if they start kicking, and Russia starts pushing their fighters in there and all this, and force Turkey back, Erdogan has probably already been feeling people out to invoke Article 5 of the NATO Charter, which means an attack against one is an attack against all. So then we end up in a proxy war against Russia, Turkey, or trying to help out Turkey, and the guys that we just now supported with that were totaling a maximum of 1,500 souls. I mean, you want to talk about a turnabout play situation here? It's a mess.
Right, and I think the president did. See, Harry Reid said it best. Harry Reid, I mean, former Senate Majority Leader, he said it best. Trump is a very smart man. He's looking 3 and 4 moves ahead. And he saw this, and I didn't get it at first, but I do now. What the guy did, he decoupled us from a disaster. I mean, if Erdogan wants to mess around with Syria, who's been Syria's ally since the Soviet Union was formed? I mean, they've been in Soviet hands for forever.
And Iran's on the other side of the tent, or the playground, whatever you want to call it, because they've been helping out Hamas and Hamas and Hezbollah and all that, which is fighting, excuse me, on the other side of it. So I mean, it's a real can of worms.
But we're not in it, and I'm glad of that. I mean,
and Israel's stopping Iran anyway at will. And by the way, they've already proven, okay, just a little juicy tidbit here, okay, so the Iranians have Russian and Chinese radar systems, supposed to be state-of-the-art and detect a stealth fighter, all right? Well, guess what? The F-35I variant, which is Israel's plane that they had special made for them, has already infiltrated Iran's airspace and attacked SAM sites and places that they believe has been attacking Israel and all that. And they're definitely hitting Iranian sections set up to shoot into Israel from Syria.
No question, and we're gonna keep an eye on it, Ralph. I'm especially interested in the developments recently of the Chinese military technology, and you can tip your hat to American corporations for allowing that to happen. These people are money hungry. It's sickening. Thanks for calling, Ralph. Appreciate your opinion, sir.
Later.
Always like to hear from Ralph, a very highly involved person when it comes to military operations. Keeps the research going all the time, man. I love to hear that. Let's shift gears a little bit, Ward, and let's go to James O'Keefe and Project Veritas. I did not bring any clips because I am pretty sure everybody's heard them, and they're long. But he has had a mole inside CNN, a satellite uplink technician that felt that the CNN gig, it would be like if you or I got a show on a network. He had
on MSNBC.
Whatever. He reached his pinnacle of his career, and he was so disparaged when he learned how fake they were that he started working with James O'Keefe, and apparently took video for months. And if you remember when James O'Keefe, back before he was anything, I interviewed him several times. Now I can't get his phone to ring, but
yeah, he doesn't return the calls.
But this guy worked under the tutelage of Andrew Breitbart, and Andrew Breitbart told him, if you remember the Acorn story, it was a smash when it came out, but he didn't let it all out at the same time. He dribbled it out over a couple weeks.
And that was Breitbart's thing. He said,
yeah,
you give a little bit and you get him to deny it, and then you show him, well, here's the proof. And that's what he did all through that Acorn thing, because he's like, okay, I went in and dressed as a pimp and told them that I didn't want to pay taxes, and they told me how to get around it. And they're like, no, we never did that. Oh, yeah, well, here's the video. That's me dressed as the pimp. I'm
Right.
like, are you kidding me? It was just so awesome. And they've kept it up. And apparently this isn't from what, what's his name?
O'Keefe?
O'Keefe. From what he said on Twitter yesterday is they have tons of tape on it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And they're going to just, and it's going to be one of them things where they're going to wait until Zucker says, no, I never said that. Boom. Yeah, you did.
Oh, well, he's
I
got
never
him
said
already
that.
saying it. He's
Boom,
got him
yeah,
saying it already. This guy comes out with a daily sermon and tells these guys, hey, you got to quit interviewing Lindsey Graham. And then another guy says, man, there was some deals between Trump and Zucker back in the day, and Zucker hates this guy. And he comes out and says, you guys, it's all about the impeachment. That's it. Marlene from Eugene, Oregon, what's on your mind? What do you think?
Well, I am rather excited about James O'Keefe's video. I signed up so I can get, I guess, the whole thing when he releases it. I've heard that there's bits and pieces on Twitter, but I like watching the whole thing.
I don't know if there's ever going to be. I don't know if there's ever going to be a whole thing. I think that he's.
That's
well,
the
I don't
problem.
know if it's whole, but it sounded like he signed up on he signed up to receive.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
get
know,
it
maybe
first.
It's not the whole thing.
You would get it
Maybe
first.
we get it first.
He's going to put the
Maybe
snippets
that's
out.
it.
He's going to put the snippets out one at a time. But you're going to
he
be.
has to. He can't upload the whole video because that's how they're getting them. They're saying, "Oh, you're breaking our terms of service. It's
That
too
makes
long."
sense,
blah,
yeah.
blah, blah. So they're breaking
Yeah.
it into little pieces.
Even though nobody else has any time limits, they can go as long as they
No,
want.
absolutely not. Well, conservatives, all conservatives.
Yeah. But switching gears a tad here, I was just thinking back to the little old Hunter Biden. I'm
Yeah.
thinking, well, gee, he's doing what all the rest of the Democrats do when they know something, the jig is up. They resign.
Yeah.
He's following after Daddy. He's following after Hillary Clinton,
Well,
after whoever else, and they think it'll solve everything.
Well,
Not-
no,
I mean,
he's also doing a apology tour because I just saw that right before we started the
okay.
show. Is he's going to be
I'll
on
be
Good
damned.
Morning America tomorrow, telling everybody how.
Oh, yeah,
seriously.
George Stephanopoulos, Mr. Hunter Biden, what do you think about the the Trump impeachment?
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you very
That's
much.
a fine tan you have there, Hunter.
How is your wife
Did you
doing?
get
Your
that
new
while
wife?
you were in China?
Yeah. Is your dead brother's wife treating you right? Or you guys good?
Yeah, no kidding.
How's that
Well, they
crack
just
habit?
broke up.
How's that crack habit going?
really.
You know? How
Well,
much
yeah,
crack do you,
He's able to upgrade to Coke now that he's making.
how much coke can,
Yeah,
you,
no kidding.
can you get for $50,000 a month?
A lot.
Whoa! Back up. In an effort to maintain our journalistic integrity, I've found that it wasn't $50,000 a month that Hunter Biden was paid. It was $166,000 a month that he was paid.
Oh, Lord.
Right, and we have to look at the peripheral people too, man. You got to look at this Devin guy. I forget what his name is. Nobody ever heard of him, but him and John Kerry's son and Nancy Pelosi's son. I want them all, man. And you know who else I want? I want Mitt Romney's chief of staff. I want Mitch McConnell to go down in flames. I want every one of these traitorous bastards to go to jail. I don't care what party they're in. I don't care what position they're in. If Donald Trump was part of it, I would want him to go to jail.
Absolutely. I mean,
But he's not.
That's exactly what Biden did. He sold his office.
He
There's
did.
no difference between what he
Sold
did and
us
what Hillary
out.
did. And what was it? What was his name from Chicago? The mayor, or no, the governor who sold Obama's seat. Remember when Obama?
Yeah.
Blagovich. Yeah.
Blagovich.
He's still in jail.
Whatever the heck. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's still in prison.
That's exactly what he did. He's paid to play, and he's
Yeah.
still in jail.
Good point.
And Hillary and them are running the streets.
It's unbelievable to see these people free.
know.
And wait till I play this with John Carl, man. I mean, this thing, the thing that offends me the most, Marlene, out of all of this, is when I hear Chris Wallace or even Brett Baer, and it doesn't matter, all of them, when you hear the questions they ask, that tells you more about them than anything else. Why are they asking? Why are they asking about should the president have gone to a foreign country and asked for help in a legal matter? Why aren't they asking? Why was the vice president of the United States of America out there extorting another country?
You know what's funny though? What's awesome though, Hutch? After they said that this is impeachable, and we shouldn't. The president shouldn't be asking for favors from foreign leaders, et cetera, et cetera. Problem is, there was a transcript that rose from, guess who? Billy Bob Clinton, trying to get in touch with, get Tony Blair to straighten out some issues they were having with it was an airline dispute between.
Yeah.
I can't remember which two airlines, but it was two airlines that were fighting. And it's like, wait a second now. I mean, and he definitely, he put way more pressure on Tony Blair than Trump ever did. I mean, because everybody's going, where was the threat on Trump's side? Anybody that read the transcript is like, there's no threat of a quid pro quo. And then you got Biden coming in. He's quid pro Joe. Hey, well, he'll give you anybody. Give me some money. I'll give you whatever you want, as long as you listen.
All right, Marlene, stick around. We got another up and coming guy I never heard of. I never heard of Byrne before, but now I have, and I never heard of this guy Lee Zeldin before the last couple of days.
But for me too.
Now I've heard him. I want you to listen to him, but I want you to pay particular attention to ABC's Jon Karl. I want you to listen to the line of questioning and how he will not deviate. He won't have an intelligent conversation with this representative. He's like a Chinese People's PLA, People's Liberation Army private. He sticks with it. He knows nothing else. It's all he knows. He won't let it go. Listen to his questions.
Congressman Zeldin, let me get to you. A lot of your Republican colleagues have had a hard time answering a very simple question. Do you believe that it was appropriate for President Trump to ask the president of Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden? Do you think that was an appropriate request?
I absolutely believe that our country should be working together to get to the bottom of what happened, whether it's Burisma, it's Joe Biden, it's Zlochevsky, it's Hunter Biden, that there shouldn't be a immunity from scrutiny just because Joe Biden is running for president.
Well, we're not talking about an immunity of scrutiny. So would you ask a foreign leader to investigate one of your political opponents?
Because that's so important.
Well, you have to understand here in this particular, I haven't, but in this particular case, the threshold question is, what did Burisma, Zlochevsky, Joe Biden, and Hunter Biden do? And in this case, I have a huge issue with the fact that Hunter Biden, with no energy experience, with no Ukraine experience, gets paid at least $50,000 a month from a corrupt company run by a corrupt oligarch solely because he is the vice president's son. The vice president, who literally was the most conflicted guy out in the Obama administration.
And this issue has been raised. It was raised before the president brought it up. But again, it's about the president going to a foreign leader and asking him to investigate a rival.
There is, I am also, just like President Trump, I am greatly concerned by that arrangement. It is either illegal or it should be illegal.
Watch this. Watch how Jonathan Karl tries to turn this guy's words against Trump.
What they did. We might have a policy conversation.
The president's request of great concern?
No, I believe that we should be working together, our governments, with regards to these allegations, with regards to Burisma, which has been corrupt for a long time, with regards to this oligarch, with the fact that they would hire Hunter Biden, the fact that Joe Biden would be selected to run point, be in charge of the grants to Ukraine, be in charge of the loans, and so much more, and then go to Ukraine and threaten to withhold $1 billion from Ukraine unless they immediately fire the state prosecutor, who, by the way, happened to be investigating Burisma and Zlochevsky. By the way, those are all facts. There are people out in the media saying it's been debunked, it's not true. Everything I just said is 100% accurate. I have a problem with that as well.
Well, let me ask you about the former ambassador. Did you find her to be to Ukraine? Did you find her to be a credible witness?
Sure, and I wish that over the course, I mean, there's some issues where she contradicted herself during her testimony. I believe that every single word in real time should have been in front of the American public so that you knew exactly everything that she said. Instead,
so you're okay with all the transcripts coming out? You want to see Fiona Hill, who's testifying next week? You want to see all the people that the administration does not want to testify? You want those transcripts?
The president wants there to be a process. The president is saying that there should be a vote for an impeachment inquiry. As you just pointed out with Congressman Hines, there should be a process. The minority party should have subpoena power. The president should have counsel present. He should be able to cross-examine witnesses. He should be able to present evidence. There should be a process. But instead, what Adam Schiff wants is to get United States of America drunk on his favorite cocktail. There's 3 ingredients. 1 is cherry-picking leaks. 2nd is withholding facts. And 3 is just outright lying. I mean, he lied about his whistleblower contact. He lied when he gave his opening statement in front of the acting director of national intelligence. He lied when he said that President Trump requests President Zelensky to, quote, manufacture dirt. Now, if we all had Ambassador Volker's testimony, we would know that that's not true. We would also know that it obliterated the quid pro quo charge, that fairy tale that President Trump supposedly demanded that there would be an investigation open against the Bidens in order to get aid from the United States to Ukraine.
It's clear that he brought this up exactly when the issue of aid to Ukraine was raised.
This is what Ambassador Volker's transcript would show you.
Let me just ask, the president says that was a perfect, you think that was a perfect phone call?
I think that there was a lot of really important, great things that were discussed.
Do you think that was a perfect phone call?
I believe that conversation, absolutely. The only thing that's being criticized, which by the way, definitely isn't impeachable conduct, the fact that we are tearing the country in half, trying to bring down a sitting president because we've pledged, it's many in the House to resist, oppose, impeach, and obstruct everything and anything.
Right.
I have a problem with that. We should be passing USMCA. We should be lowering the cost of prescription drug prices.
Congressman, unfortunately, we are out of time. Thank you for joining us here.
Unfortunately, we're out of time, and I might not have a job after this weekend, but thanks for coming on.
Man,
you guys,
was trying to.
You understand?
Twist that guy's words every 5 seconds.
And this is #1 guy at ABC. Well, #2 by George Stuffing Envelopes.
That guy, he's brainwashed.
You see what's happening here? What's happening? In case you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, because it's not being reported that well. What's happening with this fake impeachment is that it is 100% Democrats. They are not letting Republicans in the room. They're not letting them have anything.
Today.
They did. They did. I did. They threw Max Gaetz out.
Removed.
Yep, and he's now the hearing or the meeting was between 3 committees that he's not a member of, but he's the member of the Judicial Committee, who is supposedly responsible for the impeachment inquiry. But I think they shelved Nadler. They put him off to the side. You haven't heard him for a while.
No, I haven't.
So,
well, I think that the whole thing where he the last one he drug out with who was the last one he interviewed?
I know he bombed
Lewandowski.
Yeah,
Corey Lewandowski, and Lewandowski destroyed him.
He devastated him. That's true.
Completely.
But this is we're in uncharted territory, man. This has never happened in American history. This is such a sham. And this is the reason why I say that the media ought to be held criminally accountable for this.
Absolutely.
I mean that.
I agree with you.
I don't
really
know. I'm putting my tinfoil hat on. I had enough of this, man. This is, when we talk to people, look at the amount of people that listen to this show versus the amount of people that listen to mindless stuff every day. It boggles the mind. How people have been dumbed down in our nation.
Yeah, dumbed down is an understatement.
And when you have the media,
we used to say that. Remember that more people, if more people would watch our show instead of the Kardashians, that understand what the hell was going on in the world. But
I agree.
No, more people can name all the Kardashians and can't tell us who the Secretary of State is.
Exactly.
Who cares about the Kardashians?
I got to tell you, I was thinking of something while that clip was playing, and while we were commenting on it as it was playing. My poor wife, man. My poor wife, whenever she comes down into my headquarters and it happens to be the news time, I feel bad for her. Because when the news is on, I don't watch the news. I interact with the news. Yeah. And sometimes I get loud. Sometimes I get loud, and sometimes I get profane, and I feel bad for her because she's like, "What the hell's wrong with this guy?"
I don't. I can. Oh, I don't. I bet you do.
I do. Believe me. All right, Marlene. Thanks for calling, Marlene.
You're
Marlene
welcome.
from
Bye-bye.
Eugene, Oregon. All right,
Take it
one
easy.
of our favorite callers. And you know what this is all about, Ward, is you sent a. Why isn't she? Okay, there it is. You sent a report for the show tonight that basically says that we haven't really seen the Ukraine scandal yet. The scandal is about U.S. cash for gas, and it involves the Bidens and a growing list of Democrats. And I'm going to guess that you're going to catch some Mitt Romneys in there and some other people maybe. And
I'm sure there is.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's not enough time in the show to go through this. This is an excellent article by Steve Hilton. So if you go to foxnews.com and you Google Steve Hilton and look for the real Ukraine scandal is U.S. cash for gas, it involves the Bidens and a growing list of Democrats. It basically lays it out. You got these people that are bashing the United States gas industry and oil industry and energy industry. They're bashing it and they're neutering it, but they're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine to benefit their gas operations. It's unreal.
Yeah. I honestly believe that that was the reason that Trump had them stumble across Ukraine. Because, I mean, all the bad stuff that happens, that's coming up, that's festering up, is coming out of Ukraine.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's the China thing, but the China thing's kind of removed.
That's
a
different thing. That's a military thing that's going to be stronger than the Ukraine thing. But the Ukraine thing is more.
The Ukraine thing is just all corruption. I mean, and that's what it was, And I think that the president is in his in the right place. I mean, it's in his jurisdiction was the word I was looking for. To ask them, hey, are you guys looking into this corruption?
We have a
'Cause
treaty
you want
with
us
them.
to give you money. Or is this money going to be spent on kickbacks or actually going to where the money needs to be? I mean, it's a legitimate question.
And why are we sending money to Ukraine to increase their gas footprint? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. How does that help us? It doesn't.
I have no idea.
Let's go to California. Sean, you're on. Go.
Hey, what's up, Hutch? This gas thing. Woo! It's bad here. in
$6,
California.
man. $6.
It's so bad. I'm like, okay.
Ward, can you imagine paying $6 a gallon for gas?
Well,
yeah, because I'd have to be filling my moped. There's no way I'm going to drive my car.
Well, here's the best part too. Today, Gavin. Well, I think it was actually yesterday or Saturday, but Gavin Newsom freaking put out a notice to everyone saying that, I'm going to divert the funds that were supposed to go fix the roads to something else now. I'm like, I knew he was going to do that. Freaking con.
I'm still amazed at the power outages. Are they still going on?
Yep. It's here's the kicker to that too. Those who have solar power on their houses in the northern part of California, Hutch knows what I'm talking about, is that now they don't have power even if they do have solar power. Why? Because those who say, let's install solar power and not do enough research on it get screwed over because they don't realize that they need to have
batteries.
Pretty much other type of necessities for that to make.
You have to be able to store the power. The power's going right back into the grid.
I know, it's hilarious.
It's stupid. They built a headquarters where I worked for a long time. I didn't work there physically, but my headquarters was in Fort Dix, New Jersey, and the Army Reserve built a big freaking headquarters there. And they put all these ugly solar panels on the roof. And a guy died installing them, by the way. But a guy I know, a family member that also worked there, went down there to do an analysis and found that we weren't capturing any of that power. It was all going right back into New Jersey's grid. So what's the point?
Yep. And here's my biggest concern with this. For those people who are in the dark zone, I'm going to call it the dark zone, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm calling it. What about the hospitals? What are they using for power? People are in ICU and stuff. What are they going to use for power?
They have backup generators that can power the hospital. That's without a problem. As far as that goes.
Other than the logistics of how hard that is to do if you have to do it for weeks. I mean, that's like fuel trucks and
Sure.
And Gavin Newsom's made the gas so expensive. So here's my bigger question. How are they going to run the generators for so long?
What's the point?
Without having to spend so much money on the gas.
Raise your
they're going to have
taxes.
to spend that much money.
They're going to raise your taxes. That's all. That's the whole point. It's a hideous situation. Go ahead. Final comments.
Hopefully people start suing the crap out of this guy.
That's what I say. What about the family of the guy that died that was on oxygen?
Yeah, that's my biggest.
Within minutes of the shutdown, the guy should have been a little bit more prepared, but that's just me. He shouldn't have to worry about power outages in the biggest state in the United States.
I know.
It's unbelievable. All right, Sean, thanks for calling, brother. Appreciate it.
All right.
Always appreciate your call.
Take it easy, man.
All right, so let's go now to this crazy dude, man. Have you heard of billionaire Tom Steyer? I don't know who the hell this guy is, but he showed up. He's running for president. I don't know if he made it on the stage for tomorrow's debate. Tomorrow's debate might be interesting to watch.
Every one of them to this point has been nothing but a train wreck.
True.
I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, and you watch it for the same reason you watch a train wreck. It's like nothing good's going to come of this. But
you're right on, man.
You just got to sit and watch the cars come off the tracks, and that's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, it wasn't the first one. The first one was terrible. The second one was just as bad. But they came out and they said, raise your hand if you're for giving,
illegal aliens
healthcare to illegal. And they all raised their hands. I'm like, okay, you've just convinced me there's absolutely no way in hell that, pretty much the entire planet would have to die.
People in
vote for any one of you clowns.
People in every Democrat-controlled city, when they said that, were like, huh? What about us? But hey, that's you guys. Listen to this guy. It's a very short clip, but I want you to listen to this genius.
We are in the fight of our lives. Everything is on the table in 2020. They think so too, because they think if they lose in 2020, that they're going to have to, the rules are going to be fair and they're never going to win again. And they're right. If we win in 2020, they're done forever. But it's scary for us too, because if they win, literally, it could be the end of the
world. 3 people in this audience just clapped.
Right. That's basically what it was, too. I mean, this guy is a billionaire, supposedly, and he's a real big climate change guy. And he got in the race because he knows none of the rest of these guys can win, because they can't. I mean, it's just, I want you to listen to the audacity of Joe Biden in this clip. And clips like this are going to be, the president's going to remember him, put it that way. And he's going to come back. You got to remember, what's the president, 6'5" or something? He's a big dude.
Oh, yeah, he's not a little drink of water. That's
right. No, he's a big guy, and Joe Biden's not. But listen to Biden.
Well, hey, whoa. Joe's got corn pop.
He's got corn pop.
Corn pop got a razor that he sharpens in a bucket of water or something.
To keep it rusty.
Some such nonsense.
And they cut off
rusty.
6 foot of chain. We cut it off down in the room under the pool or whatever. And
so I can go fight corn pop.
Joe Biden, ladies and gentlemen.
I think the boy knows that I'll beat him like a drum if I get the nomination.
You think the boy knows?
And you go to
those are fighting words.
Go to 3 foreign governments, not just all about me. 3 foreign governments, and ask them to come in and interfere in the sovereignty, the sacredness of the American electoral process? Come on. Come on. This is outrageous. How, if in fact the House doesn't move and let the facts fall where they may, then what is the next unethical president if we elect another one?
You mean like you?
What's that say they can do? What's that say? What's going to happen? They have to know there's consequences. And look, I served in the Senate a long time.
Too long.
I was there when Nixon was impeached. I was there when the House voted to impeach Clinton. I was there and I watched it.
Still messed up.
Guess what? An awful lot of people have what we call epiphanies. You know, like on the road to Damascus, they have another view. When all of a sudden now you have, if the numbers are correct, and I don't count the polls as being particularly accurate, always accurate, more than half the American people now think he should be impeached. Impeachment to them means they think he should be kicked out of office. The reason why it should be a last resort, because it does have an incredibly negative impact on the state of affairs in a country. I wish it didn't get there, but it's gotten so far now. If you don't move on it, then what do we say to the rest of the world about who we are? What do you say about opening the gates and say, come on in, get involved in our elections? What do you do?
Now, one of the things that I noticed on that clip, Ward, was his contempt for the American people. These people honestly feel that they are smarter than we are. They honestly do.
Absolutely.
He said, well, those people, when they say impeach, they think it means kick them out of office. Like none of us know what impeachment is. None of us understand the nuances of the House of Representatives and the Senate. No, Joe, we get it.
Here's the thing. You don't have enough votes, number one, to throw a duly elected president out of office. Number one. Number two, the American people will not stand for this. You know, I mean, it's all well and good that, you know, L.A. and New York decided that Hillary should be president. Nobody else did. So maybe, you know, you back off a little bit and see what happens.
The only thing that makes me a little bit nervous, Ward, is the beautiful people.
You got to see Biden?
Yes, I did.
You can look at me.
Obama, 2012, he's going to win, baby. He's the man. Biden was down here, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Go, Obama!
What do you like most about the Obama administration?
That, let's see, healthcare. Yeah. And schools. And what else do I like about him? I like everything about Obama.
He believes in school.
Yeah.
What does it mean to have Biden out here?
Greatest day ever to have Biden here, man. That was the best experience ever in my life to see him in person like that.
Like that.
Oh yeah, big time, man. I love Obama and I love Biden too, because Biden's all business.
All business.
He's all business.
All
He'll
business.
tell you how it is, and
In
that's why I love
Ukraine.
him so much. And I love Obama.
Oh, God, I'm embarrassed to live here sometimes.
Obama was here, Biden was here.
Boy, that was
just awesome.
That was one of our green teeth lovelies right there. Let's listen to Biden one more time.
No one in my family will have an office in the White House, will sit in meetings as if they're a cabinet member, will in fact have any business relationship with anyone that relates to a foreign corporation or a foreign country. Period. End of story. And what I'm not going to let you all do is take the focus off the problem. No one has asserted my son did a single thing wrong.
Not one thing.
No one has asserted that I have done anything wrong except a lying president.
That lying son.
That's the only
Everyone
thing.
has asserted
That's
that.
the focus.
Anybody who's talked about this story has asserted that, you jackass.
Oh, man, it's unbelievable. And they continue to suck it up. Now, I don't know what this next clip, yes, I do. It's Chuck Todd. This is Chuck Todd again. You heard him on Friday saying how absolutely horrible the president was. Let's listen again.
Welcome back. Tonight in 2020 Vision, President Trump held a campaign rally in Minnesota last night. There are parts of it we can't show you, or rather, there are parts of it we're not going to show you. The president's red meat vitriol wasn't new. Neither was his use of profanity, or his railing against the media, or his attacks on Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, or his anger at the, quote, insane impeachment witch hunt. None of that should go unremarked on, because the idea that the President of the United States is doing all of those things on a regular basis is actually quite remarkable. We're just not shocked anymore. And the fact that we now expect the president to act that way when he's in front of a crowd of his supporters, that's also remarkable, not unremarkable. But what is even more remarkable about what happened at last night's Trump rally is that the president went further than he's ever gone before. So we are going further than we've ever gone before to say we aren't going to play the sound. We aren't going to repeat the president's vicious attacks on Hunter Biden. The president of the United States stood in front of a crowd of supporters and character assassinated a man. Whatever you might think of his decisions, he's not a public figure. He isn't running for office, and he's not a campaign surrogate. He's not even on the campaign trail. And he isn't in any way asking for this attention, obviously. Look, we are going to tell you that the president's attack on Hunter Biden is remarkable, and it's newsworthy. But we can't in good conscience amplify those attacks, so we won't. We will simply tell you that it happened.
We'll simply cover
and
it
it
up.
seemed to cross a line, another line. Politics ain't beanbag, but it isn't supposed to be this either. We all need to play a role in not rewarding this kind of politics, not just the press. This is the job of anyone who has sworn an oath to defend the Constitution. We'll be right back.
And that's what NBC or who's Chuck Todd with. So there you have ABC's Jonathan Karl and NBC's Chuck Todd. I think he's with NBC.
Yeah, he's NBC.
Basically protecting the Bidens. That's what you have. You heard it twice. You know, and I heard I saw a headline. Go ahead.
I'll bet you your bottom dollar that you won't hear the words Biden and Ukraine in the same sentence on CNN.
Probably not. No. And you know, I saw a headline today on Breitbart that, you know, if we allow this to stand, if we allow this to, you know, march all the way out and the president is impeached and the traitors in the Senate convict him, you have basically, what we've done, people, is we have given the ability to the quote unquote intelligence community to veto a presidential election. Think about that. That's the stakes right now. If we let this play out, we will forever have given away our ability to elect representatives that we want. Think about that.
Oh yeah,
that's a big deal. In the words of Joe Biden, it's a big effing deal.
Yeah, but what's going to happen is, I mean, you got stuff like you know, Omar and whatnot, and you know, nobody's calling them out. You know, that entire
squad
campaign rally in Minnesota scared the absolute shit out of every single one of the Democrats.
You know why?
That is the bluest of the blue.
And
he walked into the bluest of the blue and had a massive turnout.
While he was under impeachment inquiry. I mean, this guy.
Like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
This guy's drawing them. And he's going to bring them into the deepest blue section of fucking Minnesota. Here he comes.
And brought the cops on stage, man. I mean, that was, I don't know if you watched that rally. That was one of the most inspirational rallies I ever saw. And
what was awesome about
I went to 5 of them. You know what I mean? I've been to some rallies.
Well, what was awesome about it was beforehand, the mayor said he wanted $500,000, $500,000 for security.
Yeah.
And Trump says, well, wait a second. You only charged Obama $20,000.
Oh, and he brought his legal guys out. He said, let's go to contract court. You know, I mean, the guy is amazing, man. He's got.
And then the mayor comes out and says, well, you know, but the cops aren't allowed to be in uniform. So did you notice the cops were wearing shirts that said cops for Trump?
And they were selling those shirts. They sold out of those shirts. I mean, it was like
Trump knows how to make money, man.
And he also knows how to play the crowd, man. He played that crowd
absolutely.
Wow, like a fiddle. I was in tears a couple times. I'm listening to this guy and I'm thinking, man, we finally have somebody that's a real man that's going to come out here and fight. Not a girl like Lindsey Graham that wants our kids to fight wars.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing that they want to do is they want to roll up and, hand them everything. It's like, oh, well, just don't be mean, and I'll sign off on this bill.
Yeah.
Or I'll sign off on that. And it's like, no, stand your ground.
And just remember,
and Trump is the epitome of what we wanted this show to be. He is calling a pig a pig.
You're damn right, man. And
the entire squad, they're all pigs. They all need to be called out.
I will be pissed off if this China corruption ends without Mitch McConnell in prison, because Mitch McConnell belongs in prison for the things that he's done with Japan and his ports and his wife and his father-in-law and everything else. Justin Amash too. I want to see these guys. I don't care. We need a reboot, man. We don't need a. We don't
I agree with you 1,000%, man. I mean, and the bottom line is, there's probably I'm hoping. I did this before, and I know I'm terrible about it. But I have to believe, man. I have to believe the IG report's going to come out, and it's just going to be so horrific that it's just going to shake, Congress to the core.
I think the president ought to have a plan B too, though. I honestly think that he's smart, so he knows that you can't just blow up the government and not have a backup plan to fix it. So I hope, and this is just my solitary opinion, what I think he should do, he better start talking to some generals. That's my opinion. I think I don't have enough faith in the civilian deep state that I don't think we can do this in a normal fashion. I think there's too many widespread ramifications of the crimes that have been committed for the last 100 years, Ward. This is a long time going. Think about this. Was the deep state involved in the Romney election, the McCain election? How far does this go? You think this all just started with Obama? If you think this just started with Obama, you're listening to the wrong show. This has been going on for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And the Republicans have just not had a real man in there that wasn't involved in it that could turn it around.
I mean, and that goes back to what I was saying before that Crowder said. Trump is the guy we needed right at this moment, because he had to come up and he had to, basically punch him in the mouth and say, look, this is the way it's going to be. And without him, we would be in, like I started to say before, we'd be in a world of hurt. Hillary'd be in charge. None of this would be coming out. Nobody'd know anything about anything.
Think of the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court would be. It'd be 6-3. Because Ginsburg would retire. And it would be, we'd never get out of this. All right, let's go to Richmond. Regina, glad to have you back. Hope you're feeling better. What's on your mind?
Oh, yeah, thank you. I'm feeling better. I'm calling. I'm going to try to make this quick.
Okay.
What I kind of sort of figured out that nobody has figured out, the other part of the current situation that nobody has figured out, Lindsey Graham had to pick the judges, right?
Yeah.
And he wanted President Trump to stay in Syria. But see, I guess what President Trump was doing was waiting Lindsey out until Lindsey picked enough judges that President Trump wanted. So President Trump got his judges, and he pulled the troops out of Syria. And now Lindsey is freaking out because he realized that President Trump kind of sort of double-crossed him in sort of kind of way.
Well, he
so
should.
Now Lindsey's going to be ticked off because I think Lindsey wanted to have some of the ISIS fighters to go to Gitmo so he can have his judges that he just picked to prosecute the ISIS fighters. But I think that can't be done now because ISIS fighters are being killed now because a lot of people, the countries didn't want to take the ISIS fighters back. So President Trump is letting them get killed.
Well,
so Turkey is going in and going to kill all the ISIS fighters and also some of the Kurds also. So it's a sad situation, but, this solves the problem.
Well, we've had Kurds on the show before. We've had political Kurds on the show, but as so many other places, you can't say that a Kurd is a Kurd. And let me explain that.
Yeah.
Let me explain that. A Kurd is an ethnic characterization.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got an ethnic people, but it's not just in one place and one country. If you look at Kurdistan, it's in Turkey. It's on the border of Armenia. It's in Iran. It's in Iraq. It's in Syria. It's a big group.
I've been doing a reading on that, and I'm like, ain't that something?
And this is what I mean when I say that the Pinot, the treaty after World War I that wrote the map that defines Syria, Iran, Iraq, Turkey, and all that, and Kurdistan. And there's no Kurdistan on the map, by the way.
Yes, it does.
It's just on the borders of all these countries. So they decided they're not going to write the Kurds into the map. So now they don't have a country. But they're there. But millions of them are there. Well, once you go into the Kurds, then you have multiple factions in the Kurds. You have PKK, YPG. You've got all kinds of different military type organizations in there. And you can't just put a political solution on a situation like that. It's like Afghanistan. We're in Afghanistan trying to protect this country that's not really a country.
Yes,
the only reason it's a country is because some white dude sat down and drew a pencil around an area. That's the only reason. There's no other. Afghanistan is not what you think it is. It's not one country. And the same way with Kurdistan. So, I don't know. I agree with you 100%, and I told you from the beginning. Lindsey Graham is a military lawyer. He thinks he's going to...
but he don't have his ISIS fighters now, so he can't prosecute nothing.
Well, you know what? Maybe he can prosecute whoever gets nailed on the IG thing. He can still go to Gitmo. He can still hang out in Cuba.
Yeah, he can work on that.
There you go.
There you go.
All solved.
Yep, there you go.
All right, Regina. So you're feeling better now, right? You're back in the groove.
Oh yeah.
All right. That's good to hear. Thanks.
I've been doing a whole lot of reading while I've been, resting.
Well, that's good. And thanks for calling. We always love to hear from you.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, here's Regina from Richmond, Virginia. Ladies and gentlemen, another week, another episode of the Steel City Resistance edition of Cold War Radio, another Chicago update.
Shit! 4th of fucking July. The really going on? Whoa! This is some GTA. This here. Why is that right here? Whoa! Whoa! This real! Whoa! Get the rape out of there! Hello! They just lit this bitch up like it was the 4th. It's me!
And welcome to your Chicago update. We decided a while ago that we were going to do this update every week just to keep up with how well gun control works. And so this week's actually pretty low for the city of Chicago. From, let's see, what's that, October 13th to October 19th. They had 1 shot and killed, 10 shot and wounded, so it's a total of 11 with 1 homicide. For this entire month, October to date, there were 16 shot and killed, 68 shot and wounded, So that gives us a grand total of 84 with a total of 17 homicides. Now, if you look at these numbers, it just befuddles me how a city that has the strictest gun control laws in the entire United States yet still has this plague of gun violence, because the reason is the good people don't have guns, and the only ones that have the guns are the bad people. And the thing is, this is what the Democrats want to bring to the entire United States. It starts with, let's get these, what do they call them? The assault weapons. There's no such thing as an assault weapon. That's just stupid. They prove their ignorance by saying it. Assault is a verb. A weapon does not assault anything, number one. Number two, I want to call every one of the Democrats a racist because they are prejudiced against black guns. Because they're the scary ones. The black ones are the scary ones because they're tactical and they look scary. So I want to call each and every one of the Democrats that's calling for any sort of assault weapons ban a racist, and I have my proof.
And the thing is, when's the last time that you heard Democrats, the gun grabbing types, the Buttigiegs and the Beto's and the rest of these morons, when did you ever hear them talk about gun confiscation from their own fatherless constituents that are committing all the gun crime? Have we heard a call to get the guns from the El Rukins or the Bloods or the Crips or the any of them?
Well,
you haven't.
I want. That's what I want to see. I want to see their plan to get the guns off of the criminals, and then we'll talk about gun control. But they have to prove to me that they can get the guns off of the criminals, and they can't.
And let's say it this way: let's not say criminals, because let's call a pig, Ward. Let's talk about red flag warnings for black males that are 17 to 25 and don't have fathers. Let's start there. And I'll bet you could take 80% of the gun crime out of the country if you targeted them. But no, we're not going to target them.
You can't do that because that's profiling.
Oh, we could.
Even though 99.9% of all suicide bombers are Muslim men between the ages of, 18 and 36, something like that. So if you don't target those guys, and they pat down grandma at the airport and search her wheelchair for explosives while Ahmad's running around the block, strapped with, plastic explosives, but you can't check them because that would be insensitive.
Unbelievable. So you can obviously see, ladies and gentlemen, that they don't care about safety. It's not about safety.
No,
it's
never
about
was.
It's about disarming your ass. And I'll tell you, something that is amazing to me is that there are not more black American supporters of the NRA. Because the NRA was basically one of their first missions after the conception of the organization was to protect blacks in the South. There was a Jim Crow type of legislation that was outlawing blacks from owning Colt 45s. So they had 25 caliber Saturday Night Specials. That's about it.
Yeah.
But all the white guys had military weapons, Colt 45s, a revolver. And the NRA was big on getting that knocked down. It just it boggles the mind when you see these things.
The thing that gets me is how stupid people can be. All right.
Another topic that we cover a lot.
Here we go. Because if you look at these idiots that are going and they watch the news every night, and yet they'll go to a Bernie Sanders rally and worship at the temple that is Sanders and say, I want this socialism. Give this socialism to me.
Oh my God.
And it's like, hey, have you even watched the news of what's going on in Venezuela? Because that's exactly what socialism is.
And why wasn't the focus of the United States media, the corporate media? Think about the NBA now. Think about the influence that the Chinese communists have on the United States of America and our money, our corporations.
Oh, yeah.
The 70th anniversary of the government that killed 70 million people, their own people, was celebrated.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that was actually going to be the second part of my rant. All the people that look for gun control, why don't you look and see what's happening in Hong Kong, man? Those guys are all unarmed.
They're
see
wishing they had
what
guns.
happens when the government has weapons and you don't.
Unbelievable. And what does Fredo's older brother say? You don't need a 30-round magazine to kill a deer. No, man, that's not to kill a deer. That's to kill your ass. And I say that figuratively, of course. Figuratively.
Yeah, well,
I'm not trying to say that I'm for killing a government official, but if you look at
were
the
he
way...
to off himself, I would not... I would
at
probably have a party and applaud. And
you look at the Federalist Papers and John Adams and Samuel Adams and their writings on the Second Amendment. And it's clear what it's there for. It's not there about hunting.
No.
It's for enemies, foreign and domestic.
The guys that wrote that just didn't get back from a hunting trip. They got back from liberating the country.
Damn right.
Yeah, that's what that's about. It has absolutely nothing to do with shooting Bambi.
You're right. 412-206-6208. Who is out there listening right now that has never called the program that wants to call in? I want to hear from you. I'm also looking for a volunteer. I need a volunteer. I want somebody. I'll just tell you what I want. I want somebody to get on the interwebs, and I want you to search for Podcast of the Year contests. And I want you to enter us into it because I don't have the time. You're still working, right, Ward? So you don't have the time.
Oh, yeah. No, I really don't.
You're still in Oakland? What a wonderful place to
Oh,
work.
yeah. Yes, I am.
I love Oakland. I do. It's a shame, though. It's changed over the years. When I was younger, when I was younger, it was basically whites and blacks and some Chinese from CMU, and now it's the United Nations. You can't even recognize it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And my issue is more of the attitude of college students, man. I mean, they don't pay any attention to anything. And I mean, it's like these are the future leaders of our world. And they walk into traffic.
They walk across the street without looking because they trust the government that painted the lines on the street to think that I give a damn about those lines in my F-150.
Exactly. I mean, and they have their head in their phone and the whole nine yards. And it's like, I'm sorry.
Tell the audience, and of course, don't mention any employer or anything like that. But people have.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
People have, they have Super Bowl pools at work and lottery pools. Tell them more. Wait. Let me set it up first. Oakland is a neighborhood on the east end of Pittsburgh where almost all of our hospitals and colleges are. And we've got a lot of world-class institutions on both sides of that, college and hospital. So it's very concentrated, and there's a lot of young people go.
Yeah, so when I started my job, we took up a poll of how long it would take before a college student got hit by a bus. and at first we did it as a joke, but every year to this day, every year a student gets hit in the first week of school by a bus.
Dumbass.
Because they can't comprehend how to cross the street. And Fifth Avenue, for those of you not from Pittsburgh, Fifth Avenue is one-way traffic except for a bus lane. The buses go both directions. And so apparently they'll look to the right and say, hey, there's nothing coming. Step out in front of a bus that's coming from the left.
Boom.
And then they roll down. Yeah, and then they roll down Fifth Avenue.
Assume room temperature somewhere along the way.
Yeah, but it's been happening since at least for the last 20 years.
Unbelievable. But that was always funny to me, man. When you told me that, that never left. I kept that in my head from the beginning.
Stupid does.
412-206-6208. Come on, man. Get a little courage up. Dial that number. I want to talk to you. I know there's people out there. I see the statistics. I know that there's more than the people that call in. So please do. That's not to discourage any of our regular callers from calling. Oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you an update. I talked on Facebook today with one of our favorite listeners, Arthur Denman. He is a former Secret Service officer that has been on the program several times and had a little bit of a medical problem, but he's now on the road to recovery. Talked to him on Facebook today. He should be back in the audience soon. So for all of you guys that were wondering where Artie went, he's on the mend, which is great to hear. Same with Regina. Glad to hear both of them had some medical issues that were holding them back, but glad to hear that they're both on the mend. I guess I want to close the show out. The first illegal alien to commit a North American terrorist attack is on trial. But don't expect the media to cover it, because they won't. This is a guy in Canada. His name is Abdullahi Hassan Sharif. And he is from...
You did that so well.
Representative Ilhan Omar's tribe in Somalia. In 2011, he had himself smuggled from Somalia through Brazil and Central America. Then he entered the United States over the Mexico-California border and claimed asylum. Sharif went on to Canada, where he allegedly conducted a double vehicle ramming and stabbing rampage in 2017 in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, that severely injured a police officer and 4 other people. He was carrying an Islamic State flag in one of the ramming vehicles. Those who paid attention to this case were too few and far between ever to mention Sharif a year ago, when President Trump provoked a denialist media backlash by claiming the border was vulnerable to violent jihadists migrating from distant Muslim-majority countries. The 32-year-old Sharif is now on public trial in Canada. He'll probably get acquitted. He's facing 11 counts of attempted murder.
Christ, they'll make him prime minister.
You know it. Aggravated assault and dangerous driving. While he occupies a consequential Homeland Security pedestal of first border crosser to conduct a jihadi attack in North America, his backstory remains largely unexcavated for learnable lessons to U.S. Homeland Security that may or may not change in the coming weeks of a trial. I see that the President Ward got rid of his deep state Homeland Security chief. Good riddance for that guy.
Yeah. But, you know, I have an issue with, you know, this needs to be like trumpeted from the top of the mountain.
Sure.
You know, it has me so angry. I can't even put words together right now.
I can tell.
It's just.
Don't you think the people that are in the border states to the north would be concerned, or the border states from the south? It's amazing to me that there's not more of a collective outrage at the government for this. Sooner or later, your family is going to be touched by this. Everybody.
Oh, sure. Well, there was just a story about the guy that did the what the hell was it? I lost it. Go ahead.
But it's just we have these threats that are out there, and you would think that people were in the proximity of the threat would be more outspoken. How can you live in any of the? Do you realize that the border states are becoming purple?
Oh yeah,
because they are. These people that are moving down there from California or from wherever are moving down there or illegally immigrating down there, and they're going to support politicians and legislations that allows this to continue. It blows my mind, man. We need a reset. I said that earlier in the program, and I really mean it. I mean, we need a big reset. And I'm not talking about a fundamental transformation of America. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is we need a parent. We need adult intervention into this mess, Ward. I feel so strong. I feel so strongly about that, and I don't know how. I mean, if I was sitting there, I could figure it out how to do it. And I would have to say that, unfortunately, with the media the way it is, with the corporations in the United States of America that are more pro-communist China than they are America, I would say the president is going to need the help of the United States military.
Yeah, that's very possible.
I can't believe I just said that because I stuttered through it as I said it. But I think, what else? What else can we do? You've seen the weakness of Barr in the Justice Department. Now, you can sit there and say, all right, Friday, it's coming out. All right, I'm going to wait for Friday. I don't have a whole lot of faith, Ward. I don't. I wish I did.
Yeah, I mean, we got burned in the past, Hutch. But I like I said before, we talked to Judge Janine, and she said that she believes in Barr. So
she does.
I trust Judge Janine. So by that path, I'm going to have to follow it.
Let's see, and I want to too. I don't want the military to be involved in this. This should be easy. This should be something that's fundamental. It should be something that every American desires.
Yeah, well, I'd posted a thing on the Facebook page.
Talk about that for a little bit. That thing's blowing up.
Yeah, and it's awesome. I really appreciate all the everybody going and hitting it up and checking out the stuff. But the one I posted I wanted to talk about was 449,000 Californians turned down jury duty because they were not citizens.
How many?
449,000.
500,000?
Almost 500,000, yeah.
500,000. So they were. Oh, and by the way, Gavin Newsom passed a bill, I think, or it was an executive order that provided that illegal aliens can now be named California state boards.
Yeah, it's probably an executive order. But it was 449,000 Californians turned down jury duty because they were not citizens, but they were registered voters. Let that sink in.
Man, it's unreal. Absolutely unreal. We're going to be on the air through it all, though. We're going to fight it as much as we can. Look for Sal and Stacy next week on Wednesday's show. Then Friday, Mona Salama will come on and explain or talk about some problems that we're having in the conservative movement, and I can't wait for that because they did it to us with the Tea Party movement. They killed that. We're not going to let them take anything else. Ward, thanks for coming on tonight, my great Monday night host and co-founder of Cold War Radio. You might as well say that because it branched out of Steel City Resistance. How can people get in touch with you? And any final comments, sir?
You can always hit me up on Twitter at Wardy22. I'm just having a great time. I love being back. I love the fact that the Facebook page is kicking. The chat room's awesome. I'm just having a good time all the way around.
Outstanding, because I am too. Glad to have you back, man. You just don't know. Go to rsbnmusic.bandcamp.com. Support Jacob Seals. I tried to talk, by the way, if Jack Couples, somebody in the chat room told me about them being shut down by YouTube, RSBN being shut down by YouTube. Tried to contact Joe Seals. He didn't contact me back. But Jacob Seals still makes kick-ass music, so that's why this is playing. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. This is Cold War Radio. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you share the show. We'll be back on Wednesday. Thanks for letting us into your life for a couple hours. God bless.
Jim Sapienza, ladies and gentlemen.
You can leave your heart in Frisco, make it big in old New York, lose the blues in Chicago. I won't sell those cities short. You can roam from Nome to San Antone, then Memphis to L.A. But if young's ever come to Pittsburgh, it's for sure you'll want to stay. Come see the Steelers and the Pirates. What a town. Have a ball, hail the Panthers, cheer the Penguins. Pittsburgh has them all. You can ride the subway underneath the city, where three rivers meet. The girls are pretty. It's my city, yeah, and it's big time, with a small town heart and lots of friendly people. That sets us all apart from any other city in the USA. I love Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh, PA. From the airport through the tunnels to the city, that panoramic view will make you giddy. It's my city and it's big time, with a small town heart and lots of friendly people, and that sets us all